welcome back to our community forum with the Mayor of St. Thomas, Mayor Joe Preston. How are you doing today?
Well, I was just dancing to the intro music.
Love the music, right?
My day must be complete if I can actually get a dance up to the mayor's update music. But we were talking about adding words to ode to roundabout, but that's a whole different piece too.
Oh my goodness!
If you haven't seen the video yet on the roundabouts that our friend Graydon has filmed from the drone and from the ground. The first thing I thought is it's lacking words. I can come up with these. I can be funny, and we will do the words to ode to a roundabout or to the roundabouts. We have some very beautiful roundabouts from the air in our community.
They are gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. And like I snapped some pictures too. I can share with our audience a little bit. I'm gonna take the clip, the link for Ode to Roundabout. So if anyone hasn't seen it, I'm just going to pop it in the chat here so you guys can and it's only 30 seconds, so you don't feel like, it's not a big time commitment, but I think you will get a kick out of this. But it definitely needs some words.
And we will make this, life is a circle and please get off at your right exit, but signal. We'll make words that match all of these things, right?
If we can get Tom Cochran to do some vocals for it, I think that would really...
Okay. All right.
Life is a roundabout.
Right.
Hey, I was just listening on the radio, and they were saying that, like, when his song goes on, Life is a Highway, they have a 200% jump in speeding tickets.
Oh, no. Well, it's like Radar Love from one myself. I cannot go slow listening to Golden Earring, Radar Love, right?
So,
but you're right. Probably, who else has a song like that, right?
Oh, there's a bunch. But I was thinking, too, if the city ever needs to raise money for the police force, like just an immediate little bump, like just team up with the radio station, play that a couple times, put it in rotation, and then just have the officers ready to go. Yeah. I recommend the hill, the Talbot Hill.
Oh no, we've got good places to catch people. Right. Let me see where they catch the mayor the most. On Burwell in front of the Works Yard, your right, Sunset. Any spot along Sunset for sure. We've got places we can do speed control and do a great job of, as a matter of fact. And you're right. We've even cut a few what do you call them? Stunt driving. I mean, that's like 40 kilometers over in the middle of the city. You know what happens
to do drag
for stunt driving?
What's that?
You know what happens? You lose your car for 14 days, right? And hopefully it's your car, not somebody else's car you've borrowed. And it's a humongous fine. Yeah. And I can only guess what your insurance bill the next month looks like once you've been charged with something like stunt driving. So, hey, we had a great council meeting this week too, and I won't do it all at once, but 6 or 7 other murals were approved through the Heritage Committee's reports to us. And we'll give you the addresses of some of the buildings they're going on. But really, we've got a mural festival coming up, Track to the Future mural festival coming up. And we wanted to make sure we've got even more murals approved. We're going to just show off in this community. If you've got an empty wall, stand in front of it or we're going to paint it. And that's funny, Graydon, but we have more people coming to us now saying, "Well, my little wall work? Can this work?" And we're finding some amazing spots like that wall out back of Streamliners that kind of faces the market.
Yes,
the building next to it approved the wall this week. Somebody's going to paint a mural on it, and the owner of the building says, "What the heck? You're not hurting my values by putting a mural on my building." And so, fantastic. We've got a bunch more to do. And there'll be a lot of them will be very, I want to say picturesque, which, will drive photos. People will want to stand in front of them and do photos. So lots coming up.
And the amount of tourism that's going to drive for the city is absolutely phenomenal too. Like when people come in, they can go to the market, they can get their pictures with the murals, and those tables that they did are also fantastic. At the market,
I'm afraid to sit down with them. I might spill coffee on them.
The works of art.
They are, right? If we can figure out who this art guy is, but there's work there. They're great. Okay, I'm in a funny mood today, folks. So please don't take me seriously. Apparently, I've been it's been already a constructive big week at the city hall, and it's only Wednesday night, and tomorrow I am trying to get away for an early long weekend.
Oh, how's that going?
Yeah, well, let's see. We'll see how tonight finishes and tomorrow morning starts. But we're trying to. Stephanie, you all know we moved, and it was never fun to move. And now we would like a weekend at the cottage, so we're trying to get up there for the long weekend and visit with family. Family's coming, so granddaughter's coming for part of the weekend, and my other grandkids live up there, so looking forward to spending some Bubba time.
Aww.
Yeah. I'm not much of a swimmer on the long weekend in May. It's still usually not all that warm for me. Although my daughter, who lives up there, when it was really hot this week, her and the kids were down in the water on the Tuesday or Wednesday night when it was quite warm. So if it gets warm again, I suppose anything can happen. I don't usually intentionally swim. I may spill my kayak with me in it, which requires me to stand back up in the water. But that's and that's funny for a guy who used to play water polo, but I don't practice my swimming in fresh water as much as I should. Margaret asks, is the mural at Central Church on the list? Which is quite funny because I now get to look out my window and look at Central Elgin or Central United all the time. And there is a mural expected for the back wall of the gym along the trail, I think. And I don't see it on here, but I have heard it talked about. So we've got some. So see if you can tell me where these places are, Graydon. I have 367 Talbot Street and 361 Talbot Street. I think those are the two walls.
Oh, wait. Manitoba Street and Talbot.
Well, I think they're the two walls by the CIBC. There's another walkway there, and both sides of that walkway.
Oh, are you sure? Because I'm across from the CIBC, and it's like 456 Talbot.
Okay, well, 267 is further to the west then for 367 and 361. So, okay, we'll see what they are. The next one was 613 Talbot.
613, okay.
All right, 755 Talbot.
I think that's near the market, that one.
Yeah, I think that's the one on the back wall near the market. And then the other one must be then the wall beside where the Rail City Loss is. That wall.
Yes. Oh, that one's going to be really cool.
That's going to be so cool to see it, right?
Oh man, the call for applications is great. So anyone, if you haven't seen it yet, they're looking for posters saying like "Welcome to the Railway City,"
right?
And it's going to be like old school retro Art Deco style posters that'll be like side by side along the transit.
For the train advertisements, they were.
Oh,
I remember. It will be gorgeous. 10 Princess. So that's the one wall of the inn is also being done. 614 Talbot. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm lost at where some of these are. But I can tell you what and we've seen some great pictures of what some of these look like.
Yeah.
What a great addition to our community.
It's going to be epic.
Here. Margaret wants to know where my cottage is. I'm on the base of the Bruce Peninsula, on the Lake Huron side of the just north of Sable Beach. So about a 3-hour drive from here. I summered there as a kid, and my kids summered there as children, and now one lives there and teaches school up that way, and the other one is a cottage up there too. So we all look at that. You got that just about perfect. Sorry to interrupt my conversation, but but that's the roundabout, right?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Like, look at that. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. And that's the one of the ones on Fairview, right?
Yes.
Right, with the baseball player in the middle and the other side figures for that one.
And that was the hard thing, is to get the picture of this one, because like you've got the girl playing baseball here, like pitching, and the dog, and so just trying to get those to be like kind of interesting was hard because they're so far apart. I think this is my favorite shot of it with this drone shot here.
But if you're walking that area, it is really neat because almost from any angle there's something else. And of course the large agriculture one down at the corner, is also
that one's just that's let me just pull this one here. That's a nighttime shot of that same one there. I'm going to pull that the agricultural one because it is it's pretty epic. Oh, not that one.
Well, that's the classic first one, and it's tough to compete with what we've done in the past as well as art. But I'd like to point out, I do still get the odd phone call or message about saying the lights are always in your eyes when you're looking at the roundabout with the farm on it. Well, okay, I don't see that. And we did see the really light up ones too, but fantastic photography here. The tractor and the corn stalk and the rooster, I think, are just epic to be driving up upon in the dark along Fairview. Right?
Yeah,
you I think it's just special about our agricultural background. So
it's totally beautiful. And then you get the St. Thomas sign right there representing. Right. And then also another cool one is the one at One Password Park from above,
with the large soccer ball in the middle.
Yeah, and you can get some
look at how it's lit up now. It shows really well.
The lighting is just fantastic.
Yeah. So you can see that's one of the flatter ones. This is one of the model of newer, right? If a truck has to go over the curbs on that, it can take part of that road and do it safely. And that's what we're trying to do with all of them. Stay in the roundabout, do your 15 kilometers an hour, but there's areas in town that are non-truck routes. That's one of them. But there's still moving trucks and other things that have to go down every road in our community, and it's still allowable. It can be done. So on some of the smaller places where we will put smaller roundabouts, this is how they work. They're only just one bit above the ground.
Yeah,
I love that one too. I just love that corner.
And you've got the Railway City elevated park, just in the back there too, which is gorgeous.
Yep.
You know,
the entrance to our community, for a lot of people who don't stop in St. Thomas, let's put it this way, who would take Sunset Road, Sunset Drive down to Port Stanley, perhaps, used to be, I've been to St. Thomas. It didn't look like much. Well, now you see the world's greatest sculpture in the roundabout to send you down that way. Then you pass under the elevated park, and please stop once in a while and go take a look at what's above in the elevated park. Right? So, traffic both ways from Port Stanley is now showing off St. Thomas a little bit more.
Absolutely, and then it'll get them excited about actually going in, being like, "Who are these people making these things?"
Right. Well, that's neat artwork. They have other stuff like that. Oh yes, we have a gazillion murals. Come look.
So many.
Right. When we're all done this year, we will count them all and make sure so we know where they are and number them. But it's a pretty exciting year. We've got a lot of neat things going on. But you and I were both tasked with what's going on this weekend. And it's really funny because I never thought of this, but the May 24th weekend doesn't have very many events.
Yeah.
Other than the ones that are already ongoing for the summer. Horton Market on Saturday morning, can't miss. So there you go, folks. There's something to do with your first thing on Saturday. And then you start to run out. I mean,
we say that, but
lawn sales and yard sales and such, there'll be all of those. And please fill your boots if that's something you like to do. But
there's a liver and onions and pork roast dinner at the Elmer Legion.
The liver and onions dinner in Elmer. Mary, no offense, but that'll keep you in St. Thomas. No.
Now, that being said, there are trains running, and one of the really great things we have in our community is the Port Stanley Railway, which comes from Port Stanley up into St. Thomas. And
so on the weekend like this, I think it runs out of Port Stanley.
Yep.
I don't think it runs all the way into St. Thomas. Comes as far as Parkside School or somewhere before.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then shoots back. When we hold the downtown events in St. Thomas, then it starts downtown and goes out that far and comes back. So God love those volunteers. I mean, that's a whole day of standing in kind of one spot to flick a switch so when the train can go back, and they all have their own rules, and the safety element of it is incredible. But there is nothing like what kids. Wait a second. I think maybe fire trucks might be equal to trains, right? With most kids, I know it's tough, but kids on a train ride just love it. So that's happening this weekend, at least on the Saturday and Sunday, I think. I don't have the hours in front of me.
It's 11, 1, and 3 p.m. If you're there, that's when it'll be taking off. So obviously get there before that. And remember, you've got parking you have to pay for in Port Stanley now. So if you go there, I think it's around $15, something like that.
Something $20. Like that. And then the train ride, and then we hunted for who might be doing fireworks. Well, first off, before we get there, our friends of the Kinsmen are selling fireworks. And please buy your fireworks from a local service club like the Kinsmen if you can. They'll give you great advice on how to do it. They're in the Home Hardware parking lot with their fireworks sale. But remember, here in St. Thomas, you're allowed to do your backyard fireworks or your neighborhood fireworks 2 days before the holiday or 2 days after. Since the Monday is the holiday, almost no one should be doing them on the Tuesday. But so let's say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday are your best days for you setting off your neighborhood fireworks. Watch for your weather, but be sure you get them at our Kinsmen. They do so much with the money that they're able to make from the fireworks, including the fireworks in St. Thomas's Pinafore Park on Canada Day. Some of the funding they have for that comes from the sale of fireworks. So I did get a flyer about fireworks in Port Burwell.
Oh,
sorry, Port Bruce Pier. Port Bruce.
Oh, okay.
Port Bruce. It's the Sunday of Victoria Day weekend, and they're presented by the Malahide Firefighter Association South Section. So Port Bruce Drive on Sunday, if you can do it, it'd be a good crowd.
Yep, and there's a new restaurant called Shores. It used to be Murr's Beach Pub. That's opened up, so you can get some burgers there too while you're looking at the fireworks.
Lots of places to eat in Port Bruce now, or a few anyways. So for those of us that pick most of our tourist destinations by the food that could be possible, that's another one on your list. Please think of that.
Totally. Now, we were looking for events, and then there's the Road to Culloden, which is a Scotland Forever reenactment.
Yeah, Scotland Festival.
Scottish Festival.
My Scottish all that well, except when I'm playing bad golf.
And that's at the Bacchus Page House Museum, and it's from I guess 10 until 4 p.m. on Saturday. So that's the third event.
Quite the Scottish heritage here in Elgin County. Our family was McDonald's and Scots, so we know the heritage of the Scottish here in Elgin County, and in our case, the west side of Kent County. But it's a great thing to know the heritage, the farming heritage, some of the earlier settlers to Elgin County who were from Scotland knew and did. So go on out and have a great historic tour of the Bacchus Page House and the road to Culloden that the Scottish is all about. So it's a great one to do also. I was once asked, this is a bad joke, I probably shouldn't do it. I'm going to say, somebody asked me, is there much visible minorities in Elgin County when I was the member of parliament? And I said, only when the Scots wear their kilts. And I did say that in the guest. There are visible minorities in Elgin County, but I always felt that most of our events in a lot parts of Elgin County are so that people can put their kilts on.
I put my kilt on for events. I love it.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, that's a joke.
Married in your kilt.
I did.
I didn't think you had good legs till I saw the wedding photo.
Oh yeah, I've got great legs. I just, I'm told by my wife I'm not allowed to like flash them around too much. Get myself in trouble. But no, you're right. I mean, and we've talked to other people that in terms of like Elgin County, there are a lot of different minorities here, but they're not visible minorities.
Right.
So it might be like a Mennonite community, for example. And if you're not talking to them or like you don't know them, you might not know that they're a minority within our community. And that's
always difficult from the member of parliament point of view, talking about needs of immigration and such. And our Mennonite community are not even truly first year or second year. Many have been here for a long time too, and certainly the Scots are the same way too. But we're having a great new wave. I've been talking to a lot of new people picking St. Thomas, and of course, wherever they're coming from, whether it's outside the country or inside the country, we're seeing more people. That part of that great growth we're seeing in St. Thomas is also immigration. People choosing St. Thomas as a place to settle in Canada is a great feather in our cap.
I think it's fantastic, and there's loads of jobs here for them as well. And I think we're a very welcoming community overall, which is
I think everywhere will have troubles, but we don't. I mean, we really are. I mean, in groups like Patricia's group with the Immigration Partnership and other groups like that, the YWCA through Patricia, they play a great role. And I think that teaches us to be good, welcoming people in our community. Look, folks, we're also having some trouble filling the jobs that there are available. Immigration in Canada will have to play that role over the next little while. If Canadians don't have more children, we have to replace that aging and retiring population somehow, and immigration is another way to do it.
Totally. Well, Mayor Joe, I've queued up the Ode to Roundabouts part. I think I'm gonna play it for our guests here and see what they think.
I'm sorry, but now people have to go off the siren to go into the roundabout area. The police got the police car with its siren on, entering and exiting the roundabout at a more rapid pace, right?
Yeah, and everybody was so polite about it. I was just like, I had the drone going up for the photos and stuff, and then all of a sudden I hear the sirens, and I'm like, oh, switch to video, hit record, and I'm just like holding there, being like, oh, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah, well, I see some of what you've done there with roundabouts. I think Angela said it here too. We could be selling this off to movie studios.
100%. Like I'm thinking, like there's the one scene in it which I feel is like The Walking Dead-esque, which is like the main. Let me see if I can play it along here.
We get zombies in our roundabouts.
This one here, I feel like this is the real The Walking Dead scene.
Right.
Like, the fields, you've got the railway state park, it's dark, you can just see the lake on the horizon, the storm's coming in, right? I feel like I should have done some special effects for this scene and had like the rays coming down from the sky highlighting the roundabout. I feel like that was a missed opportunity on my part when I was making this short film, but
there'll be more
lessons I've learned.
You were out there with your in the sky device. I saw somebody planting corn this week or last week as one of your videos.
Yes.
Then early this morning, you put up another one of farmland and mist in the farmland. I happened to get up very early and see your drone video this morning. That's fantastic.
Well, it's so fun. You're kind of waking up, you're seeing what's happening. And you're like, oh man, that I have to wake up. Like it's too good to not be filming this. So then, of course, I
don't have a drone. Maybe that's why I'd like to stay in bed. I guess that's it. Right? Like Timothy, Tim Hedden says, every time we get a new roundabout, he gets to look at more artwork. He's on the public art committee that helps us pick some of the artwork for our roundabouts. And we're not saying that every roundabout will deserve art in the future, but I don't see a reason to stop it. We've got some real wins so far with what's been chosen as artwork in the middle of our roundabout. So let's keep looking. And of course, some will be smaller than others, and so the artwork in them would be smaller too, but pretty significant. I think it's something we should be known for, and we are right now.
Well, it's funny too, because like when you were first coming in for office, you were talking about it, and then it's just kind of like the support has just grown exponentially over the past over 3+ years for all this stuff, and it's I'm waiting. Okay, so like we've had a lot of mentions in Narcity and like different Toronto blogs,
right?
And I'm waiting for them to notice all the art that is now in St. Thomas, because I think we're blowing other communities of our size out of the water in terms of what we're bringing in.
I saw something from somebody from out of town this week, and I forget what periodical it was. It could have been Blog TO, but I'm not sure, where they talked about murals in St. Thomas. So, and with the Mural Festival coming up this year, I think we know where we should be telling people to come from to look. Please bring your healthy Toronto wallet to St. Thomas and look at our artwork and spend in our stores.
Yes. And is it Expedia that likes us, or what was the other one?
You're right. There was another travel website this week or last week.
They've done a couple things on St. Thomas randomly, and we're just like, what? Okay. I mean, I love it. I love St. Thomas. I'm just always surprised when other people are like, we love St. Thomas too.
Right.
Because normally
I'm the mayor, so I get these comments from people not in our community. Oh, you won the U-Haul award.
Right.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, we did. More people are becoming citizens of St. Thomas. You're right. Or the McLean's article of last year, where again, people who I haven't seen since Parliament, or at least that many years ago, call and say, Joe, what are you doing down there? You're winning awards. I said, well, I don't actually go out and build some of these things. I'm the mayor, but I'm pretty proud of the community and how the community's going. And let's all keep smiling about how good our community looks outside looking in. I mean, sometimes the trouble is the people inside who remember it a different way and they want to tell us how it could be better.
And I was one of those people too when I was growing up here, and I was like, I'm never living here. This is the worst place ever. And I left, and I was like, okay, that was like the best place ever. So then I came back. But another story is I had a friend of mine whose in-laws live in St. Thomas. He's from Toronto. He can't get a passport meeting right now. Like, you can't get passports in Toronto. It's really hard. Yeah. So he messaged me, and he was like, Graydon, what are the Service Ontario lines like in St. Thomas right now? And I was like, well, actually, I just read on St. Thomas Happenings that there were like no lines. So I passed that on. So he popped down for a visit with the in-laws and his family. And then on Monday, they popped in and they got their passport pictures. He messaged me. He's like, I just want to say thank you. That was the best advice ever. Got in, got out, and I'm back to Toronto.
Okay, why do you keep giving away our best secrets? We're going to be just packed now. That's like saying we've got cheap gas here in St. Thomas.
Don't say that. No, it'll go that well. But we do. Much cheaper than London.
Cheaper than London, and I know enough to fill up in St. Thomas if I have to go to London. I don't go there as often as I used to.
I'm just not driving as much.
No, I guess that's also the case. And
I've got my home office here, and like I can hang out with Jess and Lily, and I'm just kind of like hunkering down. I'm like, my kilometers have not been going up. I can sell my Jeep for more now than when I bought it. And if I keep,
we got into that pattern during COVID. And some of us, like you and I, learned to love it. Learn to like, I don't want to hunker down in my apartment or at my office, but it's a great place to work out of and from. Whereas, it just is. So I'm okay with it. I've learned to kind of relax a little bit more while working and getting lots done. I hope we kind of all keep a little bit of that part of what the pandemic did to us. Closer to families, closer to friends, being able to talk online or on a telephone in a better way, and learn how to take care of yourself, that it's okay. Right?
Yeah, totally. And every time I get into my car, I feel like I'm kind of at a theme park, which is interesting and maybe not that safe, but it is what it is. Because I'm like, okay, I'm spending a lot of money and I'm going for a ride.
Right. Yeah.
Which is not like the normal anymore.
Yeah. Tim's talking about how much it took to fill up his lawnmower this week. So yeah, you should get a smaller lawnmower, I guess, Tim.
Oh, Mayor Joe, Tim's asking what your take on the 4-day work week is.
Well, personally, he's in favor of 4 days in by Tuesday.
Yeah.
Look, there are going to be some businesses that can work from home or a full 4-day work week. right? Using 4 days as an equivalent to 5. But I kind of like our people running the water plant to be there 7 days a week, and the pollution control plant. I mean, there are some jobs, and even for those on a 4-day work week, tell me what days they're not going to go eat at a restaurant so we can close. Otherwise, those are 7-day-a-week jobs, and because we still have to be able to serve people. So my view is, if it's possible and it can be done, of course it should be done. We should be equaling family time to work time, or putting family time first. But to some people, a 4-day work week means there's just more work to do on the other 3 days at home too. So look, we'll let the employers and the employees settle that argument over time. But equal work for equal accomplishment in 4 days versus 5. What a great idea!
Totally. And what was happening at council over the past week?
What do we got? We got some neat things that happened, and we'll talk about there was a couple public meetings too. So a lot of requests for use of land. We got a really unique one for the hill on top of Pinafore Park at the front.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a group that wants to build a very large zoo and animal theme park mini golf course.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I was just talking about how I love mini golf so much, and all the mini golf courses that were around when I was a kid have gone, and there's like the Tin Top or something, or Tin something like in North London you can go to. But other than that, I don't know.
Well, this looks really, really unique. It takes a official zoning change for us to say yes to it. But right at the entrance to Pinafore Park, there was some land on there that had once been asked, can we put an apartment building there? I'm sorry, but I would love to have housing wherever we can have housing, and the council of the day did not. And so we will instead look at changing it so that it can be a great layout for a mini golf course. So that was one thing. Who says we don't do real work at City Hall? There was some more conversation about the Canada-Ontario Community Housing Initiative, COCHI, and the Ontario Housing Priorities Initiative. This is funding from other levels of government, and it's great. It allows us to help people from an affordability point of view, plus also continue to maintain the houses that we own, the housing that we own, in a better way. And that was on the agenda. We came up with we've been working hard on coming up with an Indigenous land acknowledgement for St. Thomas. It's now been developed, and we will start to use it at different events and at some council meetings too. So wait for that. We have it. It was approved this week. We also okayed and approved and said, let's go to the Northwest area, settlement area, sanitary sewers, and the tender results, who can do what job, and what pumping stations we can leave till later, and get that job done. So we're opening up the new settlement area in the northwest of St. Thomas for more housing. Happy to talk about that. There's a long conversation about Valley View. We have certainly one of the best seniors homes in Ontario. Well run, even through the pandemic, they did a great job. But the province has been offering even more help with having more PSWs, more attention paid to people in seniors homes, and more nursing. And so we had a conversation with Michael Carroll, the director of Valley View, which is already a very popular seniors home for people to want to be in, and how to make it even more popular by giving even an upscale level of service at Valley View. And the plans are in place and starting to be implemented now as we can hire. The hiring of healthcare workers, including nurses and PSWs, continues to be lagging just a little behind the graduation from our community colleges and universities for those positions. So we'll continue to, but we're also, funny enough, one of those places people want to come to work too. So by being good, you stay good. And that conversation was great to have. We also have we talked about a corporate policy, HR policy in the city called disconnecting from work. We've all become very, very electronic. And funny enough, this HR directive does not cover council. It specifically excludes council. So the mayor was hoping he could throw his phone away at 6 o'clock at night, not answer any of those calls, but apparently I still get to do that. But it allows our staff to be able to be off work. There'll always be people who are on call. I mentioned just a little while ago about some of the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week things we have to do as a community. But we're making it so if you're not on call, that email can wait till tomorrow. Those types of things, and we're talking about it so that people know we're talking about it, and so that home life and that disconnecting from work becomes a bit of a priority. More on that as we get further into that. So, as I said, we had the heritage alteration permits for all of those murals at 367, 361 Talbot, 613 Talbot, 745 Talbot, 10 Princess, and 614 Talbot. That's a bunch more to get started. And I think, Graydon, you'll also share with us that we're attracting some artists who want to do this work in a community that has this much artwork too. So it is great for us.
Absolutely.
Great.
And they're getting paid well too, which is another like prime.
Well, we don't want to do it free. We really want to do it right. And so our tourism people are really working on that to make that work. So.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing. There are a lot of people who are like, paint a mural, and like, we'll pay for supplies. But then it takes like the artist like 2 weeks to paint the mural or design it or do whatever. You're like, you can't live on that. You need to be able to
have more jobs than that. And if you can become a full-time mural painter, I guess, there'll have to be lots of places like St. Thomas doing murals, right? So that there's kind of more places to go. And I will say there are more communities grabbing what we're talking about and doing it too. But remember who did it first and whose idea they stole.
Yep.
And I think that's pretty much all I had. Next meeting, we adopt the property tax rates for this year, but we already know where we put our budget. And then we had an open meeting, a public meeting. One was on the new sign that's going up where the new businesses are on Talbot and First.
Oh, the electrical sign.
It's an electric billboard. And it didn't fall into, because of where our zoning bylaw didn't fall into it, because billboards weren't thought of as electric billboards. They're putting up one big electronic billboard for that site. And so we passed the zoning, or we had the public meeting to change the zoning for that. We haven't yet finished it, but that's happening now.
So that billboard will go in?
That's still has to come back for one more shot at council to change the zoning. This was the public meeting to get public input against it or for it, and we really didn't get much. So on that one. We also had the 30 South Edgeware zoning public meeting. That's where the old Lock House, that used to be the farmhouse for the Lock farmland all around that. Of course, Lock School is named after them. And there's a side to that lot where the current owner, and look, I say this every time, but if you own property in St. Thomas, you can ask for a zoning change. You won't always get it, but you can ask for it. And this is the case of an owner asking to put 6 townhomes on the corner of Woodworth Crescent and Lock Street, and South Edgeware Road on half of the Lock property. The owner of the house was on the public meeting. He came on and said, no, I plan on living in the house, and I would like to put a garage on it if you'll allow me the changes to do that. But half of the lot will stay the Lock house. The other half would be housing. That was the public meeting. We've had input from 2 or 3 people, a number of people, including a consultant on it. And it will come back to council with recommendations as to what the density should be and should it work. But there's a few things in question, whether it will increase traffic, whether it fits the neighborhood, that type of thing. So that's why we have public meetings. And we ask the public, we notify everybody within a certain number of feet to be involved, but that we also want to get the input. And so that was the purpose of the public meeting. And we had a number of items still under closed session on the council meeting, but it was one of our longer ones. But we earned our money sometimes, and we had quite a good evening on the Monday night. So
absolutely. And one of the other things I want to mention too is that we've mentioned contingently, which is the Drinkin' Habits play, which is happening at the Elgin Theatre Guild from June 2nd to June 12th. So you can reserve your seats at the elgintheatreguild.ca, and it's sponsored by the Williams Funeral Home. You can see the poster. I've showed it many times, but you can still see it here right behind me.
Yep. Excellent.
All right.
What we got coming up? So there's a bunch of things in that first week of June too.
Oh, there's so much stuff coming up.
Yeah, show coming up, and a number of other events. It was just surprising to me when getting ready for tonight's mayor's update. I said, "Okay, what's going on this weekend?" Heather, my co-worker in my office, said, "Let me look." Came back and said, there's not much going on, but apparently there's liver and onions going on in Elmer. So how bad can this be? Yes, the home show by our great group of home builders, June 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the Joe. The mayor will be there most of the time at the city booth, and so please come on down and we'll do mayor's update in person with those who would like to ask questions of the mayor. I'll be there.
And the home show is a great place to go out and get a feeling for all the different people that are creating things in our community. I know I've seen a bunch of things where people are like, they'll hire a contractor and they'll go on a message board and they'll say, hey, this contractor, like, they didn't do a great job. Well, I can't guarantee, but I can almost guarantee that, like, anybody who's a part of the Elgin Home Builders, like, you're getting quality workers there when you join that guild, because I don't think they would put up with anybody who's doing a poor job. So go to the Home Builders show. And if you're looking for any work, meet the people that could potentially do the work on your home.
Yeah. My mother-in-law bought a shed that somebody had as a display at the last home show 2 or 3. She said, but I want that one, and can you deliver it Monday? And absolutely yes was the answer. And so, it's amazing what you can buy at the home show and how much fun you can have.
Yeah, and if you're looking for a lot of like candy and treats as well as popcorn that's free, go to the home show.
Right. There might even be a free burger or two being handed out for your admission. But we do the ribbon cutting on Friday evening. It's not a ribbon cutting. It's a 2x4. In the past, it's been a 2x4. We have to saw through. But thank you to the home builders, and it's a great chance to meet some of the people who do that renovation and home building in our community too, and to say thank you for what they've done at growing our community in a very big way. So we kind of like our home builders around here. They, most of them,
good group of people.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
And Timmy's mentioning
Tim says, "Oh, when's the apartment show?" Yeah, good. Right. It's all part of the home show. People who live in apartments like me, I should turn the screen around, call it a home. I call it a home. Yeah. And then Tim says we can join him at the garden shed and cardboard box show. Yeah. Well, I understand he does renovations, so he could likely whip together a pretty good cardboard box for you. Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. And put a deck on it. He could put a deck on it and fence around it.
Yeah. But I mean,
Tim, we'll make you some real good jobs here.
In terms of housing, at least some good news is that the housing rates have kind of plateaued. Not necessarily realtors or people that are trying to sell their homes, but for people buying homes, it's not
the whole thing. Yeah, we're causing some of this, and others is being caused by things like the Bank of Canada rate and a little bit of inflation. And we're trying to cause as much as we can a flattening or a decrease, or at least a leveling by supply. I mean, our home builders are building as fast as they can, but we've added some purpose-built market rent apartments into the mix now, and that's making the supply become greater. And we'll see what that does. And people like I, who moved out of a 4-bedroom house and moved into this 2-bedroom apartment just this week, some family gets to move into the 4-bedroom house now. And so we're causing some of that to happen along the way. And that's from a renter point of view. But from a purchaser point of view, many people are selling their homes at an advanced stage, and saying, why don't I have an apartment that I can just lock up and go away if I'm going to the cottage, or only no stairs in it, and that type of thing. So it's been great so far. Met a lot of people I know from St. Thomas living in this building. They all came from someplace in St. Thomas. That's a great relaxing of the supply and demand. We hope we can keep that going.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Tim has a question about tying high-rise development to affordable housing, which is like it's a difficult thing to do, to tell somebody like you can only make this much money off of what you're creating.
Well, the other part was what I already answered. By increasing supply, we will create greater level of affordability, certainly in older apartments. The new one you just built, it costs that much to build, but something that's been well built for 10 years or 15 years will now start to see the rent differential between the two. But we've got to keep that supply going in a fast rate. We've got to have 500 housing units at least built a year in this community, and many of the market rent apartment will start to then see, first of all, a settling of those rent rates, the affordability side, and perhaps even a dropping if we can complete the supply and demand cycle. But we have so many people moving into St. Thomas. We need to just continue to keep the supply side. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think one way to look at it too is if someone told you that like you can do this job, but you can only make $8 an hour because as an owner of a business, I will only pay you $8 an hour. And then people would be like, no one would put up with that. And I think it's the other way. It's kind of looking at flipping it around and being like, okay, like you're going to spend this amount building this thing to rent out. And then having to tell someone come along and tell you after you've already spent all your money to build it and do it, that you can only rent it out for this amount after the fact.
There are some things cities can do to influence that, not to take over, not to set laws, but by things like our community improvement plan. When we invest in an apartment building using some of our community improvement plan money, we lower the cost for the building of that building. Therefore, we could add some more affordability, right? The same thing there's some other things we can do. Development charges are a very large cost to apartment buildings. That's the
I think that's a way to go. Like that's a healthy direction,
right? Tim, I don't disagree that it would make it easier to develop. No, it would make it easier to rent. It will not make it easier to build and develop if 10% of the units are affordable. The affordability hurts the development. For example, talking to one of our builders now of an apartment building, it's about $2 million to do underground parking. And nobody wants to see miles and miles of cars in a parking lot. So it's important that we do that. Well, that's a pretty hefty investment, even if we're only allowing one car per apartment, which is something we can do, right? Look, I'm saying we're all right here. We are all right. Little pieces of the affordability case are the supply and demand for sure. The size of apartments. We're going to see smaller so that more can be built on the same floor, which would then bring a level of affordability. The designation of us from a housing department in our community, taking some of the apartments and gearing them to income rent. And so instead of us building apartments, cities don't build real well. We'd rather our great developers were doing the building, and then we subsidize the rent in some of those apartments is another way to build affordability into a non-affordable building. And so Tim, you're absolutely right. There's all of those types of things that we can do. It's really important that we just don't quit building. We've got to increase the supply right now as the major step forward on the growth that we're going to face regardless. Because if we keep it at zero vacancy, that will hurt, not help. We have to keep getting some more vacancy in. So love what you're saying. It's all part of it.
Yeah. And I mean, and the policies brought in have been fantastic as well in terms of letting a person who owns a home build a secondary unit or rent out a secondary unit, or rezoning in the downtown core to allow residential to go in. All of that kind of stuff builds increased density, which will lower.
It's all part of it. And look, it's funny to say it, but transit is part of it. If we can, get people living at the corner of Talbot and First where the major bus situation is in our community, they may not need a car. From that apartment building there, you can walk to the Walmart, walk to the bank, walk to the transit, right? Well, now you just took a very large expense out of their wallet, and maybe they could add it into housing. And that's the way to take a look at it. So there's a lot of things that lower people's cost of housing if we can get them all done. But no one thing will ever be sufficient to do it. We've seen what happened under some rent control acts and other things, and apartments just didn't get built. There was not the reason to go into that business. I'll go into a different business instead. So we've got to find a way to keep people in the market rent apartment building business and everything else we can do. We've talked a lot about housing, and we'll continue to talk about it, and we'll continue to listen also. We will continue to hear what it is. But there's, just so you know, there's almost nothing that a city administration can do to say your rent will be this, except in the people who we are helping from a geared to income or in our own housing stock, which is somewhere under 1,000 in the county of Elgin that we subsidize or own or can help with. Now, 1,000 housing units in a community the size of St. Thomas, or about 20,000 housing units, is a significant stock of affordability. But there's a lineup for all of it. There's a lineup for every one of it.
Yeah, and I think like if you're a community member and you're looking at this stuff, like there is housing co-ops and stuff that you can look into, or building and develop as a housing co-op. But the reality is most of those things haven't worked out that well, unfortunately. But you can take a look historically. Go to Ottawa; they've done a bunch of them. And take a look at that stuff.
We're at the cooperative committee on Parliament Hill, and we saw a lot of cooperative housing that didn't work, and a lot of cooperative housing that did. And I'll tell you why it didn't work. Cooperative housing is supposed to be based on some people in the cooperative paying full market rent. Yeah. And the next tranche of people in the cooperative paying slightly less than that. The next people paying slightly less than that. And the next people getting somewhere close to geared to income or affordability out of it. And that works. And it only works if that's what you've got. But what happens in a lot of cooperatives, well, we need to rent. We got a bunch more people who need real affordable, and so you're not collecting enough rent to pay the bills of the co-op. I mean, if the people paying full market rent are paying, I don't know, say for conversation purposes, 1,000 a month or 2,000 a month, and the bottom people are paying 500 a month, and you bring in more of the 500 a month, you don't pay the bills. You don't put money away to fix the roof in 20 years or to fix the furnaces or windows. And that's where cooperatives fall apart. Cooperatives that stay to their true meaning of cooperative housing, where some are paying a higher rent than others. And those that aren't paying as higher rent are also asked to do tasks as part of the co-op also, as a way of helping lower the costs of that. But that doesn't always happen either. And so that's another piece.
That's where I've heard it's fallen apart, is you get personality conflicts where people don't want to work with each other, and it blows up. And that's human nature, and that's what we have to fight. In reality, that's what we're fighting every day.
I would take 10 more co-ops like a couple of we have here in St. Thomas. I would take them tomorrow if they could come up with the land. And I would still like to see some more. There's some of our faith-based organizations that are still looking at perhaps doing that. And look, the city will help to every degree we can, and there will be some ways we can entice you to through development charges, or when taxes come into as part of our CIP plan. There's a bunch of little things we can do to make it a little easier, but it still is. This is how much a brick costs. This is how much concrete costs. This is how much pavement costs, and that, multiply that out, and that's what a house now costs to build. So we'll help all we can, but we really would like to see. The other thing, most of the cooperative housing is not for profit. Almost 100% of it is not trying to make a profit out of it. So if we can do that, it's great. Right.
And Tim was asking about the development at the Doug Terry Railway lands and where that is at.
Well, look, I'm not even certain the purchase has completely gone through from the Railway Museum and the ownership of the land. We all know that it's a former railway land, and so there will be some brownfield, some environmental issues on some of that land, and I know Doug's doing his due diligence there also, as the future owner or the current owner of the land needs to do. It can move pretty quick once we get to the building stage, but if there's things that have to be repaired, if there's reparations on some of that environmentally bad land, then that takes a while to get done. So my last meeting with Doug a couple of weeks ago, we're in the right steps. But the thing I'm learning as the mayor, even on trying to build supportive housing and sheltered housing in our community, even when you get yes from everybody and you get started, you're 18 months before someone moves in. Usually, that's why we have to keep that funnel filled, right? Thank you, Angela. I should have mentioned that. The attainable housing challenges from the provincial candidates were all discussed last night, I believe, as part of the home builders piece. And it's really hard to say, as we're trying to do here, well, here's 4 things, we do it, we're all solved, right? There isn't such a thing, right? There's little pieces of things. And I think sometimes we have to, we're talking in our community of a home builders group that is really super good at building single family homes, right? For them to turn that ship into, oh, but now we also want to be multi-unit. It takes a bit, and it takes good planning to do it, and it can be disastrous to a company that doesn't do it right, even though they're great at one job. So we want them to, in our case, keep doing what they're doing right, and then help us with other things too. So, Angela, thank you for bringing that up. The St. Thomas and Elgin Home Builders Association and the Chamber of Commerce are playing a large role in getting this conversation rolling. So, perfect. Right?
And that's
right, Tim. I'm going to get. We've got to say yes to density. We've got to say yes. We've got to build up. And I'm looking for some thoughts also coming forward on market rent apartment cooperatives, not just all spread out townhome cooperatives, but can we do a building of 160 units?
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Right. And that's the build up on land that is obviously not suitable to return to farming in any way. So we've got a lot of areas in our core, whether it's railway lands, and they're not all owned by the city, and almost none of them are, but where we can convince people to increase the density there. But I will tell you, almost every time we take a very usable piece of property in our community and bring it forward, we get not in my backyard. We do hear, well, I get it, but I don't want density there because this is a neighborhood. Well, okay, but wherever we have the ability to build something better, we should at least discuss it. Right?
And Margaret's asking if the last candidates meeting was recorded. Angela's on the call. Angela, was the meeting recorded last night for the home builders?
And we'll wait for that answer. And I know that there's the Chamber of Commerce. There's a meeting. There was all candidates tonight also, correct? And I think one of them is going to be replayed by Rogers. And I think, right. And I think that was tonight's that is being.
Is it tonight or is it tomorrow night?
I thought it's Wednesday. What today's today? Wednesday? Is
Today's
it tomorrow?
Wednesday. Let me just check here. I know it's so everything's a blur right now.
I know. I'm trying to make this one of those 4-day weeks, and next week one of those 4-day weeks too, right?
Yep.
And Angela said hers was missed. However, hers was recorded. However, she missed. And Tim says the debate was today, the Chamber of Commerce debate at Queso, and I believe Rogers was covering it.
They are. Yep, they're recording it, and they will post it later on.
Yeah. So for those of you that have not been able to get out, not everybody can fit in the room at a debate either. I often, as a candidate, loved the repeat of the debates because oftentimes the rooms are full of people who already know who they're voting for. But if it's recorded and replayed, then the information is getting out about where you stand to other people. So looking forward to perhaps oral debates later on this fall. But right now, I commend the 8 people running in our running for the member to become the member of provincial parliament. It's tough to put your name forward.
And they have 7 candidates that all debated tonight.
There are going to be 7 tonight out of 8, which I think is great. I always said, as a candidate, whether federally or as the mayor, look, if you're not having all the candidates, I really don't want to be there. You can't just pick and choose who you're going to ask questions of. And so they are doing good, right?
Yeah. So you've got Bridget Belton,
Tim,
from Ontario Party.
Any questions you want. Whether if I don't have someone running against me, you and I will have good debates regardless. It might be at breakfast time or at Caps Off one evening, but we'll have good debates. Right? So you're going to give us the list of the candidates.
Yeah, we've got Bridget Belton is the Ontario Party. We've got Rob Flack for the Ontario PC Party. Heather Jackson's the Liberal. Andy Croker is Ontario NDP. Malachi Malay is a new party. The Consensus Party, that's what it is.
I was going to say no consensus. That's not right. The Consensus Party, yeah.
Matt Miller for the New Blue Party and Dave Plum for the Freedom Party. Those are the candidates that are at the debate, or were at the debate tonight.
Perfect. And, again, I commend you all for being there, and some good friends on that list. Some good people most of you know, right? Margaret wants to debate with me too. Yeah, you can come and debate Tim. He's easier.
Yeah.
I have filed my papers this week, so I am now completed.
So you're official.
I am, and
right on.
We'll see. It's early in the municipal side of things. I know that Steve Peters has also filed, but
fantastic.
I don't know of anyone else yet. But this is really when we get past the provincial elections when we'll start to hear. Look, there's something I should say. Please go to voterlookup.ca right now, whether you're thinking of voting in the provincial election or thinking of voting in the upcoming municipal election. This will ensure that you're on the MPAC voter list. Voterlookup.ca. And I'll let you know, I did this week because I moved and I wanted to make sure I was on the voters list. And no, I was not. The building I've moved into is not on the voters list yet. So we're moving that process a lot quicker. Please, everybody try, because you may find, even if you're on it last time, you will not be on it this time for some strange reason. So it's pretty easy to fix, but going on and doing it before you're at a poll and somebody says, I don't have you on my list, you're way better off doing this. And as we're going to be doing a phone and online voting system for most, there won't be a real place to line up. So you'll have to please try and make sure you're on the voters list if your plan is to vote. So please do that. That's critical.
Yeah. I just popped the link.
That's that. Perfect.
Yeah. All right.
And also, I was going to share also, anyone who is putting their name forward or thinking of putting their name forward municipally, you've got a long time. The last date to file your papers, I think, is August 18th or August 19th. So you've got a couple months yet. But if you want to have a conversation, if you want to ask someone, hey, what's it like? What time? What will it take? I've got some great paperwork for you and a great conversation of what I found municipal government to look like, whether it is as mayor or as council. I'd be happy to share. Most people don't have trouble finding me, whether it's on Facebook or my email. So please give me a message if you'd like to spend some time, whether it's on the phone or in person, talking about running municipally. We'd love to hear all that would. And maybe you want to hear the real facts about how hard is this? What's this like? And how many people actually message you every night on your email?
Or just like post randomly and tag you on chat boards.
Oh, yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's much good.
And then you have to like find these things, maybe.
Yeah. Why didn't you answer? Well,
I'm sorry, what?
Me. Yeah. Really sorry, but there is a customer service system to really ask requests in our community is the greatest place to start of anything municipal. But honestly, if that system fails, I want to know about it, and you and I can have a real conversation, right? So,
yeah, and we have this community forum every week right here if you want to chat too.
Right, and somebody last night said, "Hey, Joe, tell us about what's happening this weekend," right?
And we did.
I said, wait for mayor's update tomorrow night. I'll be happy to tell you all the things I can find. Well, surprisingly enough, I had to spend a great deal of my day hunting for what's happening this week. So thank you. Yeah, and Tim's right. And that's why I'd love to have this conversation with as many people as want to have it. That there's a real disconnect between what a counselor actually does and what he's capable of doing, what's under their control, what they're able to do, right? And what the other levels of government do better. And we don't touch, right? And so from a municipal point of view, look, we can have influence, but for the most part, there's certain things we can and certain things we can't do as a municipality. And there's certain things like our official plan that states where higher density can be in our community and where it can't. We can't go changing it every week. We have to, have some consistency. I've been pretty. I'll get housing, and I'll say yes to it.
Well,
right? But it still needs to make the right amount.
One of the things I've enjoyed in this show is being able to explain to people like exactly what the federal level does, what the provincial level does, what the municipal level does. So it's clear. So they don't start, yelling at the provincial member of parliament if they need to be like talking nicely to the federal provincial member of parliament, or not provincial, the federal member of parliament. Yeah.
If you're talking, we've done it. If you're talking about the delivery of healthcare, provincial, right? If you're talking about the funding of healthcare, federal mostly, although the provincials having to take on a larger role of funding healthcare. Municipally, no healthcare. I mean, we have almost nothing except for our long-term care homes that is truly medical, and our contributions to the local health unit. Right? We don't make many health decisions as a municipal government. However, we do know people who do. Our local member of provincial parliament. So we can have those conversations, but we don't very often, right?
Absolutely. And like we had Judith on from CCHC last week, and she was talking about the healthcare they provide and that they need a larger space and maybe some more support. And that's something you can talk to your provincial candidate about. And she said they actually had more registrations based on our chat last week and people watching on the show, which I'm always happy when we don't just get views, we get action.
Right. We caused action to take place this week, and
people can find doctors.
Right. Or ask questions about their own healthcare. The more information you can gather, the better off you are. And Tim, you're absolutely right. Education piece might be well received on the civic side. I would rather it was well received in our schools, and it is not. I'm here to tell you, as both a former member of parliament and a current mayor, I don't think our children are learning how we govern ourselves nearly well enough, right? And I think that because we have representation by population, you get to vote here in Canada. I wish we did better. I wish we did a better job of teaching that too. I go to every classroom I'm asked to go to. As both the federal member I did, and as the mayor I will go. I've just spent 4 years, and I think I was in one classroom. Was only asked to one. Now, I get COVID was 2 years of that, so I get it. But
now, to be fair,
right,
as a student, I feel like some of my teachers did tell me this stuff, and I just tuned out.
Right, but if Funny Joe could come in your classroom and give you free hamburgers and tell you who the mayor is, you might have paid more attention, right?
If I was getting free hamburgers,
credit in civics in grade 10, half a credit in civics in grade 10 is the only place all of the politics we have in Canada is covered. So we just, I think, look, I get asked this a lot, and I'm not blaming a teacher ever. They work their tails off to get this information out. But I think from a curriculum point of view, we need to say, hey, this is a little more important. Let's teach ourselves how we govern ourselves. Let's teach how we pay taxes and what that will mean to us later. Those types of things. Look, I'll get on my soapbox, but I don't want to. Right. It's funny. I'm willing to come and tell you what a mayor does. So please ask me to do so. I'll do it as often as I can. Right. And you're right about certain things made me glaze over. Most of it was math and such, but I was always quite politically astute and wanted to hear about it. So, but it's not everybody. You're right.
I didn't get interested until later, and is what I was just kind of like, well, and I mean, school's a lot
well,
like that. You go through it.
Of catching up. You really have done a good job of catching up.
Well, I love catch up.
A lot of people have, right?
Heinz is particular. Yep.
Yeah. Specifically, you should know the limitations of municipal government and what actions it really can do, because too many people want to blame people for something they have no help, no opportunity to fix, or don't know when they could have done something better. And you should be able to hold those people to account. Right?
Yes.
And every 4 years, we name recognition is the largest thing in a municipal government election, and it shouldn't be. It should be who's done the job better, who's done the job they said they would do. Right? Yeah.
Tim says he was 10 years old watching the Quebec referendum, and he's been hooked ever since. Me, I like Brian Mulroney because I like the sound of his name, because I thought it sounded like macaroni.
Yeah.
That was, at that age, that was about my level of political astuteness.
I'll tell the former prime minister that's why you like it. But Tim's right. There's certain events in our lives that we also remember as to why we did certain things. But I had a great set of parents. The four oldest children in my family kind of were it was a good today's daily event conversation at dinner. And some of it was politics. And as the youngest of that four, it was incredible to talk about. Right. So, perfect.
I've always loved the discussing politics, but the policy side of things, I was never that early on. I wasn't that interested in.
Well, it's hard to be interested. There's this old political saying out there: there's two things in the world you shouldn't be able to watch: the making of sausage or the making of policy.
Yeah. But now I love it. So what do you like?
Right. And I became a bit of a policy wonk, being the chair of procedures and in the House of Commons. But it was, people say, I can't see that fitting you. Well, I made it fit me in the way that worked, that we could talk about it. And everybody can provide their own side to it. How you interpret it and why you think it's important is important. So, political science majors, boy, I've met a lot of those too. And I have a statement I make almost every time. There is no science to politics. It shouldn't be called political science. It should be called political arts, because it has a real flexibility to it. It's a lot more like arts programs than it is about science programs. So no offense to those that have political science degrees. I just believe it is far more of a massagable art. It is. Right? Yeah,
100%. Yeah, and it's really interesting once you kind of figure that out. But it's also what I love about it is that you can have clear guidelines about things. And be like, this is the way we do it. Here are the rules.
You mentioned Andrew Lawton in there, Tim. Andrew asked me for my procedures book from Parliament. And as the former chair of Procedure and House Affairs, it had a whole lot of sticky notes in it and a lot of other things in it. And I thought, you know what, this man likes policy way more than I do, and I'm done with that part of my life. So I presented it to him as a gift, and it was like I had given him free will or something. It was incredible what that book meant to him. And I'm hoping he still has it and cherishes it. I haven't talked to Andrew in a year or two, so. Yeah, and he has all my footnotes. You're right. There's stuff in there I've still written under, because I would have to make rulings based on an event that happened in Parliament, and so it would get pretty dog-eared and full of notes that I had to take. But I'm glad he's still having fun with it, and one day maybe he'll let me visit it.
All right. Well, I think we've gone through a lot of material here. We're kind of running to the
We're going to get to the 8 o'clock hour. I don't want to get there. I still have things to do to accomplish to be able to head out tomorrow. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, I appreciate your time. Appreciate all the viewers. We had a great viewership today.
Please come back every week. Please tell all your friends to watch Mayor's Update. And Graydon, I've been playing a lot bigger trick now. When someone asks me a question on Facebook out of the blue, I've been saying, come on next Wednesday and ask the question so that others can hear what you need to know too. So, right. So,
yeah. And Timothy's saying, I forgot to give an endorsement. I'm endorsing anybody that wants to run.
That's right.
I think the most number of people that can get involved is the best. So absolutely.
Well, except for maybe at the position of mayor. No, I'm just, we can have fun with it, and I'm anxious to answer questions from other people who might want that position also. So
yeah, no, I think it's get involved, 100%. Whether you're running, you're voting, or you're providing
you're
education
helping somebody else who's running. I mean, you know, it may be a great way to find out whether you would like it or not. It's get involved in an election. I often, you know, I've had lots of conversations about people who after an election said, oh, well, we need voter reform or we need a bunch of things because my candidate didn't win. And now I'm not represented in parliament. And I said, well, how hard did you work? Did you go out and help? Did you go out there and make it so they were the successful candidate? That's how the democracy works with us, right? There isn't a participation ribbon for our parliament system, right? It is about working harder than the rest. So perfect. Let's all do that at every level of politics, and people will recognize you're doing a good job. So, Margaret, thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Tim,
I'm glad you joined every week, Margaret. This is fantastic.
Yeah. We didn't do trivia tonight, so I guess we better do 2 next week.
Yep, we should definitely do that. Oh, and you should support us on Patreon as well. I keep forgetting to mention that.
Yes.
We've got a Patreon. It's in the comments, like in the description. So like go in. There's $1.50. And what I've been figuring out, I'm doing the math because I like math. And like if everybody that watches our show donated $1.50, we would be able to do way more in terms of going out into the community and getting photos and videos of events and stuff. We've done a whole bunch of it. But that would definitely help me.
Is it okay that I say I'm a Patreon donator to Established Media, have been since the start of Established Media.
The very beginning.
It isn't just so that we can do Mayor's Update. I think that would have happened anyway, but I think you're right. In the way that our media is today, it's hard to pick someplace where you can get all of your news about a topic. Here's a place Established Media can talk about St. Thomas in any way: artwork, buildings, roads, and Mayor's Update. I mean, we are very good to have Established Media in our community sharing this type of information with all of you. So please, Patreon's a great way to give, very secure way to give. And please, if you want to do it, it'll really help out.
Yeah, and I've been getting more calls from the community to go out into events and cover things. And I've had to tell them, like, I only have a certain amount that I can do within, like, right now, like the job for the majority of funds, it's like a donation back to do all this coverage or whatever. Right. And so, like, I've had to tell people, like, I can't always go out and do stuff, but I would love to do more, and I could justify it if I had a little more funding. So,
well, you wouldn't be sitting home doing portraits of I know you would be sitting home doing portraits, right? As a way to pay the bills if more people are helping with the Patreon side of Established Media. So I'm glad we're able to share that tonight too.
Totally. Thank you, Mayor Joe. All right. Well,
see you all next week.
Take care, everybody.